Well, what's up, guys? Well, welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Robert Robleski, and welcome to my channel. I have a great show for you guys today, and before we get started, obviously I would like to thank a few of my sponsors. First and foremost, Bruiser Baits. Those are the main baits that I use. I've been using them for about over 5 years now, if not longer. Remember, time flies. If you're interested in customs, you can contact Steve Dial. He's the guy that you want to talk to. You either text him, email him, or go online and make an order. Also, I cannot leave out the tungstens, of course, the flat out tungstens. We got a large amount of different sizes. Just check out the website and make an order. And the last update about Bruiser, they got crankbaits, jerkbaits, and square bills all in stock. So look out for their new spook that's going to be coming out this spring. I'm looking forward to that as well. Internal lithium. Contact my guy Spencer, and he will get you completely squared away. You can obviously go on the website, and it's very self-explanatory. So just check out the website or give Spencer a call. Arc International, Arc Rods, Team Arc, however you want to call it. Man, they have everything now. I've been with them for a little bit over 5 years, and every year I just get more impressed. Those new gravity reels, the G3, G5, G7, I own all the series. They're flawlessly, they work like magic, and you can't leave out the rods. And that's how I got started on using Arc, was rods first, and then once they decided to branch out, and dude, look at them now. Louis and the team is making it happen. Also, again, check out the new hard baits they have in stock. So check out the website. And last but not least, True Grit Tackle. I got to spend some time with Ryan the other day as we both stunk it up when we were fishing a small tournament out of Notley. Before I get into that event, you guys need to just give Ryan a call. Please bug him notoriously and about making jigs and customs, and he would really appreciate it to the fullest. So please contact him. All right, guys, some tournament news. Congratulations to Chris Lane again on winning the first event at Kissimmee for the Bass Pro Tour for this year. He caught that one big one at the very end to secure that win, and I think he won by maybe a pound. But it's pretty cool to see him finally secure. I think it was his first win in the BPT. MLF also had another tournament. They had the invitationals a couple weeks ago over Lake Okeechobee. Joshua Weaver did win that 3-day event, and then the elites were there just a week after. So another big congratulations to Tyler Rivet on doing something that literally no one has accomplished at Okeechobee, and that's winning an event with forward-facing sonar. And whoever thought forward-facing sonar would be the determining factor in winning a 4-day event at the Big O. And obviously we will talk about that with our guest Donny Bass as we get into our thoughts and opinions on how Lake Okeechobee is producing and why forward-facing sonar has completely changed the game of competitive fishing. The Bass Opens are about to get started here in Lake Eufaula, so that should be a great event. That'll be the first one out of the 9 events they got going on. So that should be a pretty interesting event. I think they topped it up about 225 anglers. I've been fishing here and there, haven't really been fishing consistently, haven't done well, that's just to be completely honest. But I just haven't had a lot of time on the water like most anglers get to have. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but obviously everybody knows the more time you put in, the better results you have. So I know I need to take some time. I think and I believe that I am going to be fishing a few ABA tournaments. I'm going to be focusing on Lake Chickamauga. There's an ABA division out of there called the East Tennessee Division, and they have a Chickamauga, Watts Bar, Naked Jack. There's 2 more Chickamaugas, and I think the 2-dayers at Chickamauga. So I'm going to be spending some time and learning the Tennessee River this year. I thought I would go ahead and fish a Toyota series. Since I missed the first one, I kind of was out of it for points, but I might still fish the Lake Eufaula one in May for the Southern Division. I really like that place. I did really well last year at the Race Scott Championship, and it would be nice to go back and try to get some redemption and we'll see how the Bassmaster Opens in this tournament goes, and see how those results and what's won, and kind of break it down from there. I know March to May is a pretty long time from now, but we'll see. Eufaula has always had a special place in my heart, even though I've only competed on one event there. But it would be pretty freaking cool to go back there and, you know, do well or get a nice check. So keeping that option up there. But I am going to be focusing on trying to fish and learn the Tennessee River and the Chickamauga area. I only live like an hour and a half to 2 hours from that place. I think an hour and a half to the closest boat ramp, which is Harrison Bay. And then if I want to go to Dayton, it's just an extra 30 plus minutes. So it's a pretty close lake to where I live. I actually got Chickamauga is like about almost 2 hours away. Hartwell is about the same. Lanier is about 45 minutes to an hour. And nothing against Lanier. I like that lake. I've only fished there a handful of times, but I'm not a big spotted bass guy, even though I do like to catch them, but I do prefer catching largemouth. And obviously Chickamauga has giant largemouth there. And again, I really want to focus on the Tennessee River and get some time over there and start competing against other guys and just see how it turns out. So yeah, my first event will be March 11th, so it's in a couple weeks from now. So I'm actually gonna take a break from fishing Lake Notley, because that's really the lake I've been fishing all the time, and gonna start focusing on Chickamauga in the next couple of weeks. And why do I like fishing Notley? Well, it's kind of it kind of relates a little bit like Lake Hartwell. And if you guys ever fished Lake Hartwell, super clear, it's got spots, there's lots of docks, brush piles. So kind of Notley is similar to that. I know Hartwell has a Tougaloo River and a couple other rivers, and a lot of those rivers are kind of stained. So Notley has a couple of those as well. So it's kind of mimical in a way, and I kind of and Notley has a lot of largemouth and spots and stripers. I've been catching tons of stripers, which is crazy. When I fished on Wednesday, I was live scoping a bunch of fish up shallow, and I was throwing a jerkbait up there, and I caught a nice striper. I'm like, dang, another striper. So yeah, it's just like I've been consistently catching the heck out of them. So yeah, so that place is pretty cool, Lake Notley, and that's kind of why I fish that lake all the time, because it does have a nice large abundance of largemouth. So all right, so let's get to my for my guest for this episode. Someone that loves and feeds on controversies. He's a Facebook hoarder. I call him a Facebook hoarder, and by that he just loves debating and having discussions on there, and it's all for fun. He's not there. There's no intentions of hurting anybody or disappointing someone or stuff like that. It's, you're out there, you're just having discussions, you're debating, giving each other's opinions. It's basically what kind of social media is. But he has a little bit over top, or I think he has 10 top 10s, if I read that correctly. He won a 2-day event over at Lake Okeechobee. It was a BFL Super Tournament. He's won many other events, Bass Busters, team tournaments, Roland team tournaments, Roland maybe Angler of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. He's your traditional Okeechobee hammer. I mean, he's been doing it for quite some time and has been very successful at it. He's a family man, a self-made business owner. And honestly, guys, looking forward to this, for you guys to listen to this interview as much as I did. It was great to talk to Donny Bass, so check it out. But yeah, dude, just how's things been, man?
Trying to catch up at work right now. 3 weeks off of work, it kind of sucks, but working every day, late days.
And and that's because of the skin cancer that you had. What is it, melanoma?
Melanoma, yeah.
So when did so you've had this multiple times, right? This is not your first rodeo?
I've been getting checked off and on for the last maybe 10 years. And I didn't go for a few years. And I finally decided I probably should get back going. And as soon as I went back, had a spot on my neck. You would never know. I got spots all over me like a lot of people do. And they cut it off, tested it, came back melanoma. It was like a 0.3 depth, and so it didn't get like inside my system. I don't really know the technical words. It basically was still on the surface. Had to have a surgery done, a big long incision done. They basically cut a chunk out of you, retest it, make sure they got underneath it, and they basically just remove it. I went back for the follow-up 3 months later. They said since now I've had melanoma, they should probably be a little more aggressive, with my spots and what I have going on, just to make sure. And they had 2 other spots that looked kind of suspicious, and they cut them off. One came back melanoma, and the other one come back. I don't really know the technical name for it, but it wasn't melanoma, but it could turn into melanoma, so they wanted to go ahead and remove it. So what melanoma was on my leg. It was a very bad spot. It was right where your knee bends. So it just was a bad spot. It put me down almost 3 weeks with, no work. A good week of just nothing, really, couch to bed, and not a whole lot of sleeping going on. Bunch of stitches in me.
Yeah.
So
man, that's tough, dude. The whole skin cancer. I mean, I've known people and family members that have had it and dealt with it. But yeah, I can tell it's affecting you. You haven't really been fishing at all this year and stuff. And
yeah. For one, it's kind of a mental stress, to be honest. The first one I got, I knew nothing about it. Obviously, I've never researched it, so it kind of scared the crap out of me a little bit. When you get the call saying, "Hey, you have skin cancer, melanoma," and then what little bit I do know about melanoma, people die from it. So it kind of freaked me out until you learn more about it, and and realize that there's a really good chance that you'll be fine, assuming they catch it early. So if I could tell anybody out there, just just like, I don't have insurance, never have. I come from a small little town, a lot of my money goes to fishing. So but it's less than $200, man, to go to a dermatologist. They look your body over. They literally look you head to toe, and they're good. They know what to look for. And if you got a little spot, they cut it off. It's very simple. They send it to a lab, and every other spot I've ever had called back was always nothing until recently. So now I just got to be cautious, man. I got to, protect myself, protect my body, sunscreen, 30 SPF or plus, obviously, like the main time of the day with the most UV rays, roughly 10 to 4, you got to be a lot more cautious. If you're only out a few hours in the morning before 10, you're probably, you're better off. I can't say you're going to not get it, nothing, but just protect myself from the sun, man. Obviously, like most people get it on their ears, their face, back of their necks, their legs, just stuff obviously we're getting the most exposure from. So, I just try to keep those areas. People laugh at me for the last 10 years because I've actually been really good to my body the last 10 years. I'm always in a buff and full gear. People kind of laughed at me the first few years, but that's kind of become the norm. That's just the way I am. So luckily I just kind of took that caution to start protecting myself. I can't imagine if I'd have went the last 10 years like I did the first 30 years of just being young and dumb and living in Florida. It's all we do, man. Sunlight.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to that comment you made about about insurance, health insurance, I think it's a big deal that people don't take this in consideration, is that you got one body and you got to make sure it's healthy. You want to obviously live as long as you can. So, by going to seeing a doctor, whether you have health insurance or not, every year, going to get a physical, like you said, spend $200 to go see a dermatologist, especially us fishermen or charter captains. Anybody that is in the outdoors needs to, take that as a serious, situation because things like for you, melanoma. I know I come from a Spanish background and I know family history. We don't, we've never had any issues with skin cancer and stuff, knock on wood. But I do regularly go see a doctor and, get a physical done. I do go see a dermatologist once a year to get, just to check for stuff. And I think you got to set some money aside. I know you want to fish all the time, for people and stuff, but you got to set some money aside and go to the doctor and get checked up because, if you were to catch something early and if you were to wait, then you have to deal with that. And then if you catch it early, you can take care of it. And then you know that you can fish longer or you can fish more. There's future days of fishing and stuff. And that's, in going back to like you saying, control it, ways to control it, like sunscreen, apparel, the buffs. In the beginning, it did look stupid, goofy. Everybody was like, dude, why is everybody wearing buffs and stuff like that? Or, the old school hat with the side bibs. But at the end of the day, you're protecting your body. That's your gold mine. You got to protect it. And I know from guiding and fishing my whole life, I used to not ever wear gloves. And then Pam, for instance, when she met me 5 years ago, she's like, "Oh, you had the prettiest hands in the world, and now I have like leather hands, like 80-year-old hands." It's because I never took care of them, and it happens really quick. It can happen in a couple of years, especially the amount of time you spend on the water. So
as they look at me, I'm 42 years old. I mean, I'm not like young, but I'm not old, right? I mean, so it's just most of the time it probably happens when people are a little older, but you just never know, right? And I don't know, man. This is a scary deal, and sometimes I think it takes a reality check, like you're saying. Everybody should set aside some money or this and that, but sometimes we're all young and we all just kind of go. Life seems so fast nowadays, but sometimes I think it takes like a reality check, to like realize what's important in life, and and protect yourself, your body. Like you say, your body, man. You only got one shot, right? One body. You gotta take care of that thing.
Exactly. So, all right. So off the whole skin cancer and everything, I know this is a really big topic, and this has just been the biggest topic going on about Lake Okeechobee. So what are your thoughts of the lake and the past two major events that we've had?
Yeah, it's been a really, really interesting topic. If anybody follows me on Facebook, I made a few posts, and it's kind of gotten some funny comments, some people mad, some people stirred up, but I look at it all as in fun, man. It's just I have an opinion. Some people hate it, some people like it. I don't take offense to anybody what anybody says. I just the way I am. I can say something and I'm good. But the lake, man, is set up. It's February. It's spawn time of the year. The lake set up perfect. The weather was perfect. I mean, they had a couple windy days in practice, but I think if you talk to anybody in the practice days, all the interviews I saw, a couple of buddies I had that fish it, the practice was horrible, which is in reality probably was good because the fish wasn't in yet, But as soon as the tournament, they had that one day off, the MLF did, and I think the fish just pulled in. The weather set up right, and they crushed them, man. They crushed them both tournaments. It's set up perfect, But like you're looking at the bass, it just went on that final day. You can see how like the fish pull in, fish leave. The weights just plummeted on the final day, and not that the fish just wasn't there, right? I mean, they come in, they did their thing, and they left. And but man, it's set up good, and they had some good weights, and it made for two interesting shows. I know I was kind of glued to it a lot and enjoyed watching it, watching them guys break down the lake and all, and kind of see how it worked,
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Joshua Weaver ended up winning that. He had an okay day on day one, maybe 13, 15 pounds, but he crushed the 2 days, and that was only a 3-day event. And then BAS had it was a 4-day event for them. And, you got guys fishing the main lake that crushed them 3 days in a row. And then, like you said, those fish went in and they bounced. And what surprises me is that like a lot of those guys, they were they wanted to hammer that area down as much as they like Steve Kennedy. He never went other places and stuff like that, realizing like, okay, it's not happening anymore. They're gone. They're not far, in my opinion. They're not far. You just got to find them. You got to adjust to what's in front of you. And then the guy that won it with the forward-facing sonar. So, do you think forward-facing sonar is a key to winning on multiple days on the lake? Not just 1 day or 2 days. Like if there was a 3 or 4-day event, you think either fishing the river or using forward-facing sonar to locate them because it's more consistent than being on a lake 2 or 3 days or 4 days? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, if you'd asked me this before this tournament, I would have said, heck no, like I posted when the guy was doing well. I would say typically, man, I just can't believe the lake fish so good. I mean, they were catching multiple 20-pound bags that I never would have thought that forward facing would have won. I could have seen it winning if the lake was tough, the fish wasn't spawning, or we got a big cold front, the water temps, dropped in the low 60s, upper 50s. I could see it winning then. I never would have dreamed it would have won when the lake was actually fishing good. I mean, it fished 3 out of 4 days. It was phenomenal fishing. I mean, a funny story is, we obviously all our local guys, we all know where the guy won. The last rollings, I was one of the only guys in the river. I actually fished those same cuts, like the same exact cuts I fished with a jerk bait and a Carolina rig. Obviously, I had a good practice in there, but I wasn't looking at them. I don't even think I even turned my live on. Looking back, I should have turned the stupid thing on, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think that opens some eyes. The problem is, I don't know if we have a lot of, obviously we got the rim ditch. I don't know if it's going to ever set up. If I had to bet, it's never going to set up like that again. I don't know why them fish were there, why that quality of fish were there. You can go in the river, obviously, and catch some big ones, but normally it's down at the dam and the running water. It's just, I've never seen it. And I think a lot of guys have kind of played with it. I know I have. I went in the river and I played with it. I just never caught any big ones. I've seen some fish on it and caught some, but I don't know. It'd be interesting going forward to see, if there's something still untapped, J&S Canal, any of the other canals. I know some guys catching with J&S on big ones. I don't think on forward-facing sonar, but I'd be interested to see if someone actually spends the time now to figure that out. I mean, that could be a big player, I think, with it. I know some guys call them in there before doing it, but a couple of the pro guys that I've talked to in the years past. So I don't know, man. I'm just kind of shocked. I don't know what to say. I never thought that would win a tournament with the lake fishing that well. I knew going in the final day when I kept seeing the weights. I'm like, he's going to win it. Like he's going to win it. The fish are gone, and I'm going to actually kind of disagree when you say the fish didn't go far. I think they do, man. I think they go back to the lake. I don't think they stay in any. I don't think they're hanging around. I don't think they go to the outside. I really and truly don't. It seems like if you're around the fish, like you catch them, and when they're not there, you don't catch them. JT said years ago, is like, if you're not getting bits, you're not around fish. And I think it's really that simple. I don't think there's those days where they don't bite real well. I think they're just not there. But the fish are there. It don't matter, because if you look at it in those areas, they call them in. They always, I can't say a different baits, but swim jigs, worms, flipping, this, punch. It didn't seem to matter what bait. You could have threw a fluke to a speed worm, to a chatterbait, to whatever. It's just they were around fish because the fish were there. I think the fish went back to the lake, and I think that's just the way it is. I don't know if they could have really did a whole lot else besides, maybe had a little backup plan with maybe go to the river. I don't really know, but I just think the fish were gone, man. That was it.
Yeah, that's true. They obviously left because they didn't catch them on day 4. But it's funny, with the forward facing. So the last time I was on the lake was in the end of October, right before my Kissimmee event. I just wanted to fish the lake because I haven't been there in a while on my own boat, and I purposely turned off all my electronics. I got 3 12-inch screens up front, like 360, my active target. I did not once turn anything on because I'm so used to just fishing with no electronics on the boat and just fishing what's in front of me on the lake. I mean, that's how you fish Okeechobee.
It's all visual.
It just never occurred to me, throwing the active target. But so Kissimmee, a lot of guys use active target in Kissimmee, forward facing sonar. And they scan the outside of the lake, whether it's the lily pads, Kissimmee, cattails, or they fish, offshore. I know Okeechobee doesn't have like that offshore bite, but if you're saying, like, for instance, the fish move out to the main lake, are they moving out to the main lake on the outside edge? So wouldn't you go ahead and start forward facing the outside edge and scanning that area and see if you can find a pile of them and stuff like that? See, that's that's one thing I feel like Okeechobee eventually is going to end up being like. You're going to be able to forward face sonar the outside because the water's so high. And it's if it was a lot lower, it probably be a little bit harder to scan. But with the water being so high, and they're obviously not going to lower it anytime soon. You think that's going to be a play? You think people are going to start figuring that out?
I don't think it's like with Harris. Let's just say Harris and Soho and stuff like that, or Kissimmee. Those lakes have like brush piles, and they got shell bars, and they got stuff offshore to hold them. I don't personally know, and I've been fishing like 20 something years. I don't really know of anybody else. There might be, also we got a couple little high spots out there. I mean, those crawl, stuff like that, but like those fish don't really relate to that. But normally during the summer, and the water's got to be clean and the water's got to be low. But I mean, I honestly, I don't know if I know an answer to that. I have been jokingly for the last year, a couple of me and my buddies, me and Mikey and Dave and all, I was like, man, we should get like 10 of us. We should all just line up 100 yards apart and spend 2 days and just scan. So we're literally covering like 10 boats 100 yards apart and just scan and just see if we could actually find the fish. And I kind of jokingly always joke about that, but in reality, I was kind of serious. Like, I can maybe see it, because I think the fish are out there now. I used to not think the fish were out there. I used to think they just didn't bite, or they, I wasn't around them or whatever. But I honestly think the fish are living out there. I just don't think they have anything to hold on to. They don't have anything to relate to, any kind of bottom structure, any kind of bottom, no contours, no drops, no rock, no nothing. It's just they're roaming, and I think chasing bait. I think a lot of guys I think feel the same. Some guys don't, but so I think you could. But the problem is like, if you find them, I don't know if they're going to be there the next day or the next hour or the next whatever. You literally would have to like maybe know an area, a couple mile radius, and just spend your time in the tournament looking for them, and hopefully you find them.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I don't know. I guess this might open some people's eyes up, and we'll kind of see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, it's a topic, not a lot of people really want to imply into Lake Okeechobee because they want to fish it so old school. But things are changing. You got to adjust to it. Everybody's going to have the technology, and they're going to find ways. And then before you know it, they're going to have to use forward-facing sonar somewhat to fish Okeechobee. But so this is always the biggest question, and I have to ask this because I see it all the time on Facebook, on social media. Does the lake suck?
I get a lot of crap about it. Obviously, a lot of guides. I won't name any names, and a lot of fishermen. They always kind of give me crap because I'm always I've been dogging the lake a lot lately, and I'll admit it. And I don't know if I've actually said it sucked, and I probably have, but I think for me personally, when I say it sucks compared to what it used to be. But I guess if I stand back and look as a whole, the lake doesn't suck. It's just not what I'm used to it being. So it sucks compared to what I used to fish it and what I remember it as. I mean, obviously it doesn't suck if you look at the two last tournaments. I mean, them guys were catching. I mean, I think the one tournament there was over 20 bags, over 20 pounds on the first day. So that's not sucking. That's that's still a great. I do think those windows are smaller. I do think that it's not fishing even close to what it used to be, and I do think that it's going to get worse if something doesn't change. So I guess in that return, it doesn't suck. It just doesn't. It sucks compared to what I used to remember it as, and how I fished it. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even 5 years ago. I think 2016 was the last year we really had good hydrilla. That's kind of when they probably killed the most vegetation, and ever since then it's just been different. And obviously, I've kind of struggled on the lake. I mean, there was a good 10-year run where you could literally pick up a flipping stick or a punching rod, and someone punching or flipping won a lot of tournaments, and that just doesn't happen anymore. There's literally like 2 months out of the year. I won't name the 2 months because I kind of figured it out in the last 5 years after getting my butt kicked. But there's only a few months out of the year that I think you can win doing that. Other than that, you got to be casting now. It's just a different lake, and I think a lot of these younger guys, they've adapted, and they've like anything, forward facing sonar. I mean, it's just that you got to adapt, and that's something I probably didn't adapt the last few years. And I look back on my couple wins, it was, doing something different, adapting, and I need to do it more. I think, as the lake changes it seems like it changes every day almost, but it's crazy.
Yeah, and you're right. It changes literally every day. I know from guiding. I mean, I spent 32 days straight on that lake in 2021 guiding it from March till April. And dude, it changes every day. Fish move. It's gonna happen. You just gotta adjust. You gotta fish what's in front of you and keep going and grind. And obviously with the lake, I don't think the lake sucks. And like you going back to what I said, like 20 years ago, man, it was awesome. Yes, I mean even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, but and with there's so much fluctuation with the waters rising up, going down. It's just not consistent enough. With them spraying and obviously, and then the big question is too the pressure. I think the fishing pressure has really just put a detrimental in the spawning, because you got to understand, you catching all those females, taking them back to the weigh-in and releasing them right there in the rim ditch. I mean, you're pulling out those females. The large females produce the biggest fish. So the more you take out, you're not putting anything back in. You're just putting back those bucks. It's just, I feel like the spawning has depleted because of the pressure as well, and the spraying doesn't help as well. But what were you saying? I'm sorry.
Kind of shocked about the amount of big fish. Like I would have thought. I mean, we were catching 8-9 pounders. Even back in the before I fished, like they were catching 10 pounders. Like I don't know why we're not catching as many big fish. Like you would think with that big wave of spawners, there would be a lot more 8-9 pounders. I think there's only a very few 8 pounders, like 2 or something. I don't know the exact number, but I think on day 1 there was like 1. On day 2 maybe there was 2 or something. I'm just kind of shocked at the amount of big fish. Like, are they just getting smaller? I don't think they died or nothing. I never see a dead fish. I mean, randomly around a weigh-in, but other than that, like I don't think they died. I don't know if they're just the water's getting hotter. And I know they say like in South Florida, we just don't, our water's too hot, their metabolism's running too high, and just our fishes don't, get as big as coho and Harris because of the vegetation, because of the stuff they have to eat, and mainly because of the heat. We just get a lot hotter down here, than in South Florida.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I know that in the beginning of the year, you do tend to get the 9 to 10 pounders, the beginning of the spawn. But then like as the spawn, go to the post spawn, they, obviously get more skinnier. I don't see as many 9 pounders or 10 pounders. It's usually in the beginning of the year that I've always seen them a lot bigger. So, the lake obviously is changing. It is what it is. And all you guys in there complaining, you just got to adjust to it. We just talked about it. So we talked before. You've been kind of quiet about this. I think you did make a little post, but you got a new boat coming out and everything, or you got a boat that you're considering on using here in the near future. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I've actually already pulled the trigger on it, man. Yeah, I'm a born and raised Floridian. I have fished saltwater and freshwater. I actually started tournament fishing saltwater before I did bass tournaments, and back in the early 2000s. And just the saltwater trails kind of faded out. I redfish, snookfish, and they just kind of faded out. So that's kind of what got me transferred into the bass. I've always owned 2 boats. Because there hasn't been a boat that you can really, I felt like that you could do bass really good and salt. Like, because obviously as bass guys, we bring 20-30 rods and a lot more tackle, and for different scenarios, different lakes, different conditions. And with saltwater, it's a little more simpler, so that the storage on the saltwater boats just wasn't what it needed to be. And that's why I've always just owned 2 boats. So I saw this boat, man, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 months ago. I kind of saw it flying around Facebook a little bit, and I reached out to the owner. They had a demo day. I went and tested it. Went back again and tested again, and he's an old bass guy. Actually, he's been around boating his whole life. Worked on V-pad boats. He actually worked for Earl Bent's, one of the original V-pad boats. So the guy's very, very knowledgeable. Him and his family is, and right away I was sold. Tons of storage, great laid out. Sealed compartments. Most of saltwater boats all leak. All the compartments leak. They don't have any seals, gaskets around them. And it had a huge rod locker. I can fit all my rods in it. Keep them protected. So right away, I'm a speed guy. It rode 70-something mile an hour. It rode really, really good in rough water, and it was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, we kind of worked a little deal out, and I'm helping them design and change some things and make it more bass friendly. I'm going to call it. So we actually have a new bass model coming out. It's still going to be a flats boat, basically very, very similar as the one that I've been posting about, but it's going to have a bigger live well. It's going to have divider in it, so we can do all the the team or the MLF, all the tournaments I fish and stuff. All the rod lockers going to be on the left side. Right now they got it in the center. Because obviously us bass guys, we put so many rods on the outside of the deck, and we're just used to it. So there's a few things we're changing to make it more like a bass boat, and I think it's going to change the game. And I think if you live around saltwater or you do a little bit of both, it's a boat it's the best boat I've ever seen that I think is going to do both. Do both. There's a few companies out there and that does it, but it's the best one I've seen, and that's why I pulled the trick on it.
Yeah. No, you're right. If I were to still live in Florida, I probably would have not really gotten rid of that Big O. I probably would have kept that and sit with a Big O and a Triton. But yeah, like that Big O itself, man, it was cool. I got the taste of both worlds. I was able to just write down 5 minutes. I can get on the bay, and then an hour down the road, I can go down to Okeechobee. And what's cool about those boats, for instance, compared to a traditional bass boat, is the draft. Is that you can draft a lot shallower compared to a traditional bass boat, and which will give you areas that you can get to that not other boats can get to. They're obviously a lot lighter, in my opinion. So if you were to get stuck, you basically push it out yourself. You don't.
Yeah.
I've gotten stuck. I think I got stuck with my Triton with Jason Blair back in Eagle Bay, and we got in there. We got basically took our shirts off and pushing it in the freaking mud and everything. It was so embarrassing.
My team partner Dave, I think he got stuck one day practicing, and he had to call an airboat.
Really?
An airboat, the airboat come in and got him and all. And this boat I'm getting, it's a Mamba. Mamba, it's a 22-footer. So, but I haven't actually tested the draft. I actually I rode in it and stuff and all, and tested the ride and everything. But the rumor is we're talking like 9-10 inches of draft, which is phenomenal for a V-pad boat. That's I think it even is still like 1,600 pounds. So it's still on the heavy side, which I think even gives it the better ride, the heavier they are, because most bass boats are 1,800 to 2,000 pounds. So it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm totally excited about it, man. It's I'm a few months away from still getting it, and I think it's gonna be a game changer for sure.
Nice. And then is that boat kind of laid out kind of like how the Big O does it have comes with trim tabs?
Yeah, it's fully trim tabbed. I mean, the whole shot's probably similar to the Big O. It doesn't have much bow lift. You take off. How most bass boats, the bow lift's pretty good. So therefore you can't take off. You got to get out in 2 feet of water, 2 feet plus. But yeah, trim tabs on it. I mean, it's going to take off shallow, float shallow, run really good rough water. I mean, I don't see why a lot more people in Florida don't go that route. It's easier to clean, no carpet. I mean, it's just, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer, really. Because I think once people own boats like that, it's kind of hard to go back now.
Yeah. No, you know that right in the coffin, because this Big O, or not Big O, my Triton, for instance, up here in these Georgia lakes, you step on the ground, it's that orange clay. So I got orange clay all over the darn boat. And it's just a pain in the butt to clean. The vacuum, you got to wait till it dries, the vacuum it. With the Big O, you got that ocean grip, so you just pressure wash it and it just comes right off. It's brand new again. Yeah, I do miss that. So, got a couple more questions before I let you go, Donnie. Dude, so what are your plans for this year and for the future?
Well, obviously that took a huge turn when I found out I had melanoma again. I was actually signed up to fish the Toyota again this year. There was just no way I could take a week off to fish the Toyota and then take 2 to 3 weeks off with surgery. I own a small little business. I'm the only employee. I don't get paid when I don't go to work. I don't have insurance. So some plans changed, man. And to be honest, I really don't have a good answer on that right now. I'm actually in the middle of kind of laying a schedule out and kind of seeing what other trails I might can fish. I'll probably fish the Rollins again. It's one of our biggest, local Florida trails in Florida, and great payout. So I'll still continue to probably fish that. They don't start back up until I think May. But right now, I really don't know. I might bounce around and just fish a couple of random stuff this year just because my schedule got screwed up, But I think next year is going to be some changes. If everything works out, I can't say a whole lot, but I'm actually working with another sponsor, a big time sponsor, to possibly do some things, and I might hit the redfish trail a little bit. I'll still fish the bass stuff and all. I mean, I still something I'll do. But I've always wanted to go out to Louisiana, man, and catch some reds, go out to Texas and kind of do some different stuff. It's just kind of been like one of my bucket list things I've never got to do. So I figured, why not go fish a tournament there? It gives me a reason to go, and I kind of get to check off a bucket list. So if things work out next year, that's kind of a plan I'm going to do. I'm going to do some bigger redfish stuff, and then still do some more, like maybe some Rollins or BFL, kind of jumping a few things. But right now it's kind of up in the air right now because all this stuff just kind of happened. I mean, I just went back to work last week. I'm kind of still recovering. I still probably got stitches inside right now, actually, in my leg. So I'm in the middle of kind of working on that right now on schedule and what's going on. So,
yeah. Well, I hope if, you're able to get on the water, because, dude, that's what you do, what you love to do and stuff, and especially competing. I mean, we can go out there and just fish. It's not the same. I think competition is, that's what I thrive. I'd rather fish a tournament than go have fun fish. That's just me.
I'm the same way. That's been my whole life. I'm driven by competitiveness, and I think guys who kind of live that way is normally ends up being a little bit better. They have that drive, right? I mean, it's not easy out there, man. A lot of people think you get out there when you wake up and you come on at 2:00. I mean, if anybody knows me, it's I'm on the water before daylight. I'm off at dark, and a lot of times it's many days in a row. And I think that's what it takes, man, to be successful, man. You got to put some time out there. We're all pretty good fishermen. We all have good equipment, but it's time on the water. It's reading the fish, reading the weather, and that's kind of the things that separates a lot of guys, really.
Yeah, no, time in the water for sure is one of the most important tools to do and to have. If you don't have that time in the water and you fish, if you're just a weekend angler and stuff, you're going to understand why you can't make it to the top, because you have to spend that time. But
I can remember I was in a club years ago, and they used to always tell me, like, I won a bunch of the clubs, tournaments, and all, like a bunch that year, and they're like, "Man, you're always on the water." I'm like, "Yeah, I want to win, right?" And so, and then it made me realize, like, some guys are just, they're weekend warriors, whatever reason. They don't have the time, they don't, have the funds, and it's definitely a little more challenging. But I've been fortunate enough, man. I started my own little business. It's small, but that allows my free time and allows me to put some more time on the water. And I've been very fortunate,
Yeah. So last question before you can go off with your sponsors and stuff like that. So what do you do for work? So
and I own a handy wash business. I used to be a superintendent, build homes here in Naples. We were a custom builder back in the day, so we built everything, custom multi-million-dollar plus homes. I got laid off when the economy crashed, I think in 2008. A lot of people got laid off that was in construction. There wasn't really any jobs available then. So I just, as a custom builder, I got to know all the homeowners hands-on, because you're working with them directly, versus, like, I call them a cookie cutter builders, where they just build a bunch of homes and someone buys it. So I actually got to meet all the homeowners directly, because we're always, doing change orders and stuff. And so I kind of went to them with some business cards, and I survived my first year, barely survived. I cut back on everything. by year 2, I was breaking even, and by year 3, I was profiting, and it took some sacrifice and stuff, but I'm in 13, 14 years now of doing it, and but yeah, man, I just do handyman at home watch, and anything from changing a light bulb to painting the wall to building the wall to, I got 50 something homes I take care of, their homes, and when they're going in season, it's real seasonal in Naples, so. It's been fun. It's been fortunate, man. Like I said, it's small. I'm not getting rich over here by any means, but to me, money's not everything. I mean, it's important, but I enjoy my free time. I enjoy doing things with my family. I enjoy going fishing. I enjoy my hobbies, and when you're working for someone, it's sometimes a lot harder. So it's I wouldn't change a thing for it, man. The free time, and it's not worth the money to me. Maybe when I get older, I'll look back like, man, I should have tried to make some more money, but I'm just gonna try to enjoy the ride and see where it goes.
Exactly. That's awesome, dude. So, go over a couple of your sponsors. You got any sponsors you want to do some shout outs to?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously I'm on year 2 of my title sponsor, the Reed's Metal out of Horseshoe. They picked me up again this year. I've been very fortunate with them. They basically do metal buildings, pole barns, metal roofs for metal roofs. I mean, they do a lot of things, and they're a large company. They got a couple different places around the world that they do, and they've been very good to me. And I try to do what I can to help them guys out, by promoting them, social media, tagging them. Obviously, me and my industry, I get to promote them a lot and try to get them sales. And then I've been on with Mercury, Lowrance, Dobbins rods, power poles for, over 10 years, actually. I don't even know the exact numbers. I think some of them 13, 14 years they've been with me, and it's been phenomenal. I can't thank them enough. Gambler Lures, I've been on with them for many years now. Jolly Roger Marina, they're my Mercury, rep. They help me out, one of the best Mercury guys, in our area. Hogtech weights, they display all my weights and stuff and all. They got inserts in them. The last year or two, they've actually even had the weight size on their weight, which is kind of a cool little feature. Bass Mafia, they do, a lot of people knows Bass Mafia now. They do all the boxes and storage for all our tackle and stuff, man. Weather tight. I mean, they even got some videos out there of people running over some of their boxes and showing how durable they are. Roland Martin Marina, I mean, they've been good to me, man. They helped me out. Obviously, I fished their trail. I won a few of their tournaments, won their championship. And T&H Marine, that's where I get all my jack plates and a lot of things like that from. And I actually have a new sponsor, which is kind of no one knows yet, so they'll be kind of new to this podcast. It's something, but it's a company called JB Langley. They do like rain suits and apparel. Obviously, I've been with another company for many years. I kind of hate changing. I'm not a big, if I like something, I try to be loyal to that company. But the company I was with, they're kind of getting away from the couple things that I like, a couple of the suits I like, and they're just not offering what I need. And I actually know JB. The owner's name is actually JB, and he's been a great guy. He's helped me out through the last 4, 5, 6 years. Maybe I don't even know. Really great guy, and so we're going to be representing the JB Langley rain suits this year. It's a phenomenal rain suit. They also got some apparel stuff and all, so you'll be seeing it around, and I'll make a little post about it here in the future. So
awesome,
I guess
dude.
that's
yeah.
I've been very lucky, and been lucky to have what I have and get what I get, and it's hard nowadays with sponsors. Back in the day, it was probably more based on success or, something. And nowadays it's kind of like social media, and it's, so you got to have a little bit of both. I think, you got to be pretty good at what you do and have a, good social media following. And it's kind of big nowadays. As you can see, all these young kids, man, they're pumping out social media like you're doing the podcast now, man. I think it's a great thing to do, man. It's just get your name out there.
Hey, dude, you're exactly right. Kind of the reason why I'm doing this podcast. So for next year, I'm able to get enough sponsorships. I mean, not only I want to do this podcast because of the sponsorships and try to grow my stuff, but kind of build myself a brand. I don't want to be just labeled, as I get older, just a high-end tournament angler that fished high-end tournaments. Because I don't consider myself a pro. Even last year when I fished the MPFL, I did not consider myself a pro at all. I feel. And that's a debate that I would love to have a discussion with, maybe with you or someone else, about what do you consider a pro? Because I feel like there's a lot of guys out there that think they're the pro level, but you're not. I mean, you have a rat boat, truck, and everything. That's great, but you probably ended up paying for that. That's not, you're not a pro. But that's another topic.
Yeah.
In the future, I want to get out there. But Donny, I do appreciate it. You coming on and giving your voice of opinion on Okeechobee, and especially about skin cancer, because that's something that not everybody takes. Everybody takes that for granted, in my opinion, and you can't take things like that lightly at all. So, dude, I appreciate you coming on. I really look forward to seeing what you do for the rest of the season, and hopefully you get healthy and so you can get back on the water, because that's what you really need to do.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.
See you, Rob.
Well, that's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for watching that interview with me and Donny Bass. Man, just to touch base on a couple of topics, the skin cancer. I can't preach it enough. You gotta take care of yourself. Either put some money set aside so you can go see a doctor or a dermatologist once a year. Skin cancer is a serious thing. Melanoma is a real thing. So I know multiple people that have it, and it's nothing to mess around. Remember, it's your health. You want to fish as long as you can. So take care of your body. Sunscreen, wearing gloves, face masks, clothing from top to bottom. I know it might be hot or it might be not comfortable, but remember, it's your body, it's your temple. You only got one body, and you want to take care of it as much as possible and as long as possible, so you can fish for as long as you possibly can. The topic about forward-facing sonar and how it was a big factor in Okeechobee, and how it's actually a big factor right now in Lake Seminole. Joey Cifuentes is leading day 3 as we speak, and he's using forward-facing sonar, and it's changing the game. There's no ifs, buts about it. If you don't have it and you're not utilizing it, then your shots of winning is not there anymore. Everybody has it. Got to step up to the game. I actually got an active target 1 and an HDS Live 12 unit for sale. So if anybody's interested, I'll sell it to whoever wants it. I'm looking about $2,500 or best offer. So if anybody's interested, I am selling a 12-inch live HDS Live Lowrance with the active target 1, all the cables and everything, as I plan on upgrading to the active target 2. So Okeechobee has been interesting. A lot of ups and downs. It's always going to be up and down. I've said this so many times. It's a lake on top of a lake and another lake and a lake. It's a lake that changes every couple hours. The pattern that you're fishing might sustain 1 or 2 days. You're going to have to find other game plans. You can probably win a tournament on the main lake if it's like a 1 or 2 day event, possibly 3. But with the pressure and pounding those areas, it's hard to win a 4-day event on that lake. And Tyler Rivet, he obviously showcased that he can do it with forward-facing sonar at the river, and he did it. He won it for 4 days straight, and that's what took it. So yeah, it's changing big time. The lake is the water isn't getting any lower from what the reports I've read. It's only going to go stay stable. If they get rain, it might move up a little bit. If there's a drought, it might go down a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to use forward-facing sonar to catch fish if you want to win a big event there. That's just my opinion. It's crazy how much it's changed, and that's with almost every Florida lake now. With the Harris Chain, Toho, Kissimmee. The NPFL event out of Kissimmee was one with forward-facing sonar. He was scanning, at the outside lily pads. Like, why can't you do that at Okeechobee on the outside edge? As fish start, moving out there, as the summer peaks. So that's something to think of. You know, Okeechobee is always going to have a special place in my heart. It is my home lake. I'm looking forward to trying to go back and see if I can fish it again, and then utilize my electronics, because I never got the chance to do that when I was there this past summer. You know, I fished old school, what's in front of me, and typically that's how you kind of fish Okeechobee. But you know, things obviously are changing. And then Mamba Boats. Donnie talked about a new boat company called Mamba Boats. I'll put a little flyer up there. But yeah, he's got a good point of view about how, you know, especially in Florida, and you know, you got the intercoastal. I've had 2 intercoastal boats. I had a Ranger intercoastal and a Big O that I was able to fish fresh in salt water, and you know, they're great boats. Hopefully this Mamba boat is what he says it is, and you know, I trust Donnie with his opinions and stuff. So hopefully, it's a go for it. So remember, guys, please subscribe, leave me comments, send me messages. If there's ways to better this channel or ideas that you want to give me, I'd really appreciate it big time. So my next guest will be Gary Atkins. If you guys don't know who Gary Atkins is, he fished the MPFL last year. He ended up winning over at Saginaw Bay, his first event that season over there, and then actually getting second in Sandusky, and then eventually getting AOI for the season for the MPFL. So I'm gonna mix in a bunch of random questions. He's from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and you know, with the show, as much as I love fishing, and you know, the main talk of it, about 75-80% of it's about fishing, I do want to talk about other things. You know, I'm a big sports guy. You know, if you really know me, I love NFL football. I know a lot of people can't stand it, especially with the controversies with players kneeling and just all that politic BS. You know, set aside, I still love watching the game, period. I'm a big sports guy. I like baseball. I love golf. I do like watching professional basketball, and I do like watching college basketball. Sports in general, it's just, I'm a competitive human being. I've always been like that. So in NFL and football period, it's just always been a passion of me. Love the Tennessee Titans, as you guys know. You see the banner in the background. So yeah, we're gonna have a little questions about, you know, about the Green Bay Packers, and obviously because he lives right next to the stadium. And then obviously his great season that he did last year, and then his, you know, he's got his first event coming up for this 2023 season over at Lake Pickwick. It's just right around the corner. So it should be a really good interview. So again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Tight lines.